Sometimes dogs do things that seem a little weird, barking at their own reflection, chasing tails, scooting across the floor, but did you know there's a reason behind each one? Stick around as I reveal the surprising meanings behind 60 strange dog behaviors. Let's dive in. Spinning before lying down. That little ritual of spinning in circles before bedtime isn't just a random nightly routine. Believe it or not, it's rooted in their instincts to protect you. Yeah, you heard that right. This behavior goes all the way back to their wolf ancestors who used to circle an area to scare off insects or snakes hiding in the grass, ensuring their spot was safe. But here's the kicker. Spinning also helps them position themselves in line with the wind. Why? So they can sniff out potential predators approaching the pack. Of course, your living room probably doesn't have much wind or predators, but your dog's instincts are still hardwired to perform this nightly dance. Pretty cool, right? But just wait until you hear the next one. Licking their nose. Ever noticed how dogs are constantly licking their noses? It might seem like an odd little quirk, but there's a genius reason behind it. First off, they lick their noses to spread mucus, making them all moist and sticky. Why? Because this clever little move helps tiny scent particles stick to their noses, boosting their already mind-blowing sense of smell. But wait, there's more. When they lick their noses, they're actually tasting those scent particles and sending them to a special organ in the roof of their mouth called the vomeronasal organ or Jacobson's organ. This gives them an even sharper sense of smell. Sure, the idea of your dog tasting everything they sniff might gross you out, especially when you think about some of the stuff they sniff. But hey, it's just one more way their super sniffers work overtime. Depending on their breed, a dog's sense of smell can be up to 100,000 times more powerful than ours. Crazy, right? Alright, let's move on to the next mystery. Sleeping at your feet. Now, let's talk about another fascinating habit. Why does your dog always plop down at your feet? If your dog likes to snooze right by your feet, you're not alone. Every time I glance down, there's my dog, curled up like a little furry foot warmer. It's tempting to think this is a sign of anxiety, but here's the thing. If your dog seems calm, relaxed, and isn't showing signs like trembling, panting, or stiff ears, then you can rest easy. They're not anxious. They just want to be close to you. It's their way of enjoying your company and feeling safe by your side. How sweet is that? It's heartwarming to know how much your dog values those simple, shared moments. And speaking of heartwarming, wait until you hear the next one. Sneezing during playtime. Having your dog snuggle at your feet is adorable, but some of their other behaviors can leave you scratching your head. Case in point, sneezing. Yup, sneezing. Have you ever been in the middle of playing with your pup when they suddenly let out a sneeze? It's not just random. There's actually a fascinating reason behind it. Sometimes those sneezes are simply caused by a bit of dust in their nose. Here's the cool part. Did you know that when your dog sneezes during play, they're actually trying to tell you something? That sneeze is their way of saying, hey, I know we're roughhousing, but I'm totally loving this. And that's not all. Dogs also sneeze when they're excited. It's their quirky way of saying, OMG, I'm having the best time. On the flip side, if your dog sneezes while lying on their back, it's probably because something like water or environmental particles tickled their nose. So, the next time your furry friend lets out a playful sneeze, you'll know they're having a blast. Pretty cute, right? Staring at you. After decoding those adorable playtime sneezes, let's talk about something that might feel a little intense. Your dog staring at you. Ever felt like the subject of an investigative report under the unrelenting gaze of your pup? Well, there's a reason for it. That stare isn't just random. Your dog is trying to connect with you. They're studying you, trying to figure out what you're thinking or feeling. But let's be real, they're not deciphering Shakespeare. On average, dogs can understand about 165 words. Where they truly shine, though, is in reading our body language. They're like furry detectives, constantly piecing together clues. Fun fact, studies show that dogs are better at interpreting human body language than even young children. Makes sense, right? After centuries by our sides, they've become experts at understanding our every move. So, the next time your dog locks eyes with you, remember, they're just trying to get a read on you. Sweet, huh? The next topic we're about to dive into might make some people a bit uncomfortable. Sniffing people's groins. Alright, now that we've tackled the staring mystery, let's move on to a behavior that's, let's admit, a bit awkward. Your dog sniffing someone's groin. Ever been in that situation and thought, what's happening here? Let's break it down. This sniff isn't just a random invasion of personal space. It's their way of saying hello. Weird? Sure. But in dog language, it's totally normal. Just like wagging their tail or giving you a slobbery kiss, sniffing is their version of a handshake. And why the groin? Well, dogs are drawn to places with a high concentration of pheromones. Think groins and armpits. They're gathering all sorts of information about you, like where you've been, how you're feeling, and maybe even if you're stressed. They're using their super sensor, the vomeronasal organ, or Jacobson's organ, to decode those pheromones like a pro. So, next time this happens, don't blush, it's not personal. Your dog's just trying to get to know you better. In their world, it's the ultimate sign of curiosity and affection. And now on to our next topic, which is bound to surprise you: sleeping with their back to you. This behavior might make you wonder, is my dog ignoring me? But trust me, it's not that at all. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Here's the deal. This habit goes way back to their ancient ancestors. Wolves, the close relatives of our furry friends, used to sleep this way. By laying with their heads in opposite directions, they could keep an eye, or a nose, out for approaching danger. So when your dog turns their back and snuggles in, they're not being rude. Nope, they're doing what their ancestors did for thousands of years, protecting their pack. And in case you didn't know, you're their pack. Next time your pup curls up with their back to you, take it as their unique way of saying, "I've got your back." Literally. Eating grass. From nighttime protection, let's move on to a behavior that's puzzled dog owners forever: eating grass. Have you ever watched your dog munch on grass and thought, why are you eating a salad? Forget the old myth that says dogs only eat grass when they're sick. The truth? A lot of dogs just like the taste of grass. Yep, it's as simple as that. And if you think that's weird, here's a fun fact. Wolves do it too. Studies have shown that up to 70% of wolf poop contains grass. Surprising, right? So while our canine companions are primarily carnivores, they have a touch of the omnivore in them. Sometimes they just crave a little greenery. That said, if your dog starts chowing down on grass like they're auditioning for a role as a lawnmower, it might be time to consult your vet. They could be trying to make up for a lack of fiber in their diet. Tilting their head when they hear something. Now, let's talk about one of the most adorable quirks dogs have: tilting their head when they hear something interesting. First off, dogs hear differently than we do. When they hear a new or curious sound, they tilt their head to figure it out. Their big, floppy ears sometimes need a little adjustment to catch the sound better. But it's not just about hearing, they're also trying to pinpoint where the sound is coming from. While humans do this automatically, dogs have to put in a little extra effort. Now, here's the fun part. When your dog tilts their head and you laugh or shower them with compliments about how cute they are, they notice, they love the attention, and without realizing it, you're encouraging them to do it more. So if your pup keeps tilting their head, it's probably because they know it makes you happy, and who can resist a dog that knows how to steal the spotlight? If this made you smile, just wait. What's next is even more fascinating: scratching the ground after doing their business. We often think dogs scratch the ground to cover up their poop, but the real reason is something entirely different. Dogs are super territorial creatures, and they use their sense of smell to communicate. When your pup scratches the ground after doing their business, they're not just tidying up, they're leaving their scent behind. How, you ask? Well, they have scent glands in the pads of their paws. By scratching, they spread that unique dog cologne all over the area. And get this, it's not just male dogs or a marking thing. Both males and females do it. They're essentially leaving a little biodata behind, like their age, health status, and even their stress levels. So, next time your dog does their little bathroom dance, just know they're leaving their personal calling card. But have you ever noticed what they do before going to the bathroom? Let's take a look. Spitting before doing their business. Now, what about all that circling they do before actually getting down to business? One reason is all about security. Doing their business makes them vulnerable, so they check their surroundings to make sure no danger is lurking. Another reason, they're prepping the ground. By flattening the grass or dirt, they're making the spot more comfortable and avoiding any unpleasant itching afterward. Oh, and just like with scratching, they're also leaving their scent on the area through their paw pads. But watch out. If your dog is circling excessively and seems to be struggling, they might be constipated. In that case, it's a good idea to check in with your vet. Here's where things get wild. Some researchers believe dogs might have a built-in compass. Yes, studies suggest that dogs align themselves with the Earth's magnetic field, facing either north or south when they poop. Mind-blowing, right? Alright, let's dive into the next behavior that's bound to catch your interest: running in their sleep. Ever caught your dog running while asleep, legs twitching, paws paddling like they're chasing an imaginary ball? This is totally normal and actually adorable. Dogs, like humans, go through REM sleep, the stage where the most vivid dreams occur. During this phase, their bodies can act out parts of their dreams, so if your dog looks like they're sprinting through an open field or playing fetch in their sleep, they're probably just having a great time in dreamland. Nothing to worry about here, just your pup living their best life even while snoozing. Following you to the bathroom. Does your dog follow you to the bathroom? Don't worry, you're not alone. This behavior is super common and surprisingly sweet. Dogs are pack animals, which means they thrive on social connection. When they follow you to the bathroom, it's often because they just want to be close to you. You're their person, and they don't want to miss a moment of togetherness, even if it's in the least glamorous setting. Sometimes, it's also about being protective. They see you as part of their pack, and they want to make sure you're safe, even in the bathroom. And if your pup sniffs under the door when you close it, they're just checking in, collecting info, and making sure all is well. However, if your dog seems anxious or scratches at the door while you're inside, it might indicate they struggle with being alone. This is something to work on, starting with short periods of separation to help them adjust. And let's not forget Velcro dogs, those breeds that are naturally more clingy because of centuries of evolution designed to keep them close to humans. If you've got one of these shadow-like companions, now you know why they're glued to your side. Now, speaking of bathroom behavior, let's dive into something curious they do when you accompany them outside. Staring at you while doing their business. Don't be weirded out if your dog locks eyes with you while they're doing their business. It's actually pretty common, and there's a reason for it. When your dog is in such a vulnerable position, they're looking to you for protection and reassurance. Think of their wild ancestors who relied on their pack to keep watch during moments like this. Your dog sees you as their trusted guardian. And hey, you might have unintentionally encouraged this behavior. If you praised or treated your pup as a puppy when they did their business outside, they might now associate looking at you with getting rewarded. That said, not every dog does this. If your dog's a bit shy or cautious, you're more likely to catch them shooting you with those vulnerable "watch my back" eyes. On the flip side, more confident pups might not need to seek your reassurance. They're too busy marking their territory. Now, let's talk about something dogs absolutely love: rolling around in the grass. When your dog rolls around in the grass, they're doing more than just having a good time. This behavior is rooted in instinct. In the wild, rolling in the grass was a survival tactic. It helped mask their scent, which was crucial when hunting prey. While your dog might not be chasing dinner anymore, that instinct hasn't gone away. It's also their way of leaving a signature scent behind, a clear "I was here" for other dogs to sniff out. And sometimes, it's as simple as wanting to get rid of a smell they don't like that floral shampoo you just used on them. Sure, you love that scent, but your dog, not so much. Lastly, rolling in the grass can just be a pure joy moment. When they're flopping around, belly up, they're feeling safe, happy, and carefree. Now, let's move on to a behavior that can be, let's say, a bit of a headache. Stealing your stuff and running off. As frustrating as this behavior might be for your dog, it's the ultimate thrill, and maybe even a little love note. Certain breeds, like Golden Retrievers, Yorkshire Terriers, and Papillons, are more prone to becoming little kleptomaniacs. Socks, toys, or even your most prized possessions, nothing's off limits. But why do they do it? Sometimes it's simply because it's fun. Your belongings become instant toys, and the chase that follows, that's the cherry on top. Other times, it's a ploy for attention. Dogs are clever and know which items you value most. By swiping them, they guarantee you'll engage with them. It's their unique way of saying, "Hey, play with me." And as odd as it sounds, it can even be a sign of affection. Grabbing your socks or underwear, yes, even that, means they're seeking comfort from your scent when you're not around. Sure, it can be annoying, but remember, your dog just wants to connect with you, even if it's in a mischievous way. Up next, let's dive into another quirky behavior your pup uses to interact with you: licking your feet. Turns out lots of dogs are absolutely fascinated by licking your feet, especially if they've got a strong smell. Sure, it might seem a little gross to you, but for them, it's a treat. Surprised? Think about it. Your sweaty feet give off a salty aroma that they just can't resist. But it's not just about the taste. Licking is also a way they communicate. By licking your feet, your dog gathers loads of information about where you've been and what you've been up to. And don't forget, this can also be a sign of love. Those foot licks might just be your pup's way of saying, "Hey, I appreciate you." So, next time your dog makes a move for your feet, remember, it's just their very doggy way of showing affection. And now, let's dive into a somewhat puzzling behavior: sniffing butts. Let's be real, dogs love sniffing butts. They do it to other dogs, cats, and yes, sometimes even humans. No shame. But here's the thing, when your dog sniffs another dog's behind, it's not just a casual greeting, it's a full-on information download. Through that sniff, they can figure out the other dog's mood, if they've met before, and even if they'd make a good playmate. And yes, your dog might occasionally sniff your butt too. Awkward? Sure, but in their world, it's just data collection. Thanks to the pheromones released by apocrine glands, your scent tells them a lot about you, like how you're feeling or what you've been up to. Think of it like an olfactory ID card. When dogs sniff, they're not just saying, "Hi," they're asking, "Who are you and how's it going?" Chasing their tail. If you've ever caught your dog chasing their tail, know that it's not just a quirky pastime, it's often a sign of boredom or stress. Puppies do it all the time because they've got endless energy, and that wagging tail looks like the perfect toy. But what about adult dogs? If your dog isn't getting enough exercise or mental stimulation, tail chasing might be their way of entertaining themselves. The fix? More walks, puzzle toys, and some social time with other dogs will help channel that energy. On the flip side, tail chasing can also be a sign of anxiety. In stressful or dull environments, this behavior might become a repetitive habit. While it might give them temporary relief, it's not solving the root of the problem. Creating a more enriching environment and reducing stressors can make a big difference for your furry friend. And now, let's dive into another behavior that's equally fascinating: shaking toys. When your dog shakes their toys with wild enthusiasm, it's not just playful fun, it's instinctual. This behavior has roots in their ancestral past. Even though your pup now enjoys meals served on a silver platter and sleeps on a cozy bed, deep down, they're still a hunter. Shaking toys mimics how wolves would grab and shake their prey during a hunt. But wait, there's more. This vigorous shaking releases endorphins, which help your dog feel calm and happy. So when you see your dog fiercely shaking their favorite toy, they're not just playing, they're channeling their inner hunter while boosting their mood. It's not just a game, it's a deep part of their nature. Let's move on to another fascinating behavior: howling at sirens. This one might hit close to home. Have you ever heard your dog start howling when an ambulance or police car drives by? Contrary to what you might think, they're not scared of the noise. When your dog howls at sirens, it's a deep-rooted instinct inherited from their wolf ancestors. Wolves howl to communicate across long distances, and modern dogs still have that same instinct. So when they hear a siren, especially a high-pitched one, your dog might think it's another dog trying to communicate. It's their way of joining the conversation or letting you know that something unusual is happening. This behavior is a beautiful reminder of the connection between our domesticated pups and their wild roots. And now, let's dive into the next quirk: going wild after a bath. If you've ever given your dog a bath, you've probably witnessed the post-bath Zoomies. They start running around like a maniac, rolling on furniture, carpets, and anything else they can find. But why? The first reason is pretty straightforward: they're trying to dry off. However, there's more to it. Many dogs don't love the bath experience, so that wild dash is their way of celebrating freedom. They've been holding in tension, and a good run helps them shake it off. Literally. And here's the kicker: your dog likely isn't a fan of smelling like soap or shampoo. Dogs prefer earthy, natural scents like dirt, grass, and yes, even things we'd rather not mention. When they roll around after a bath, they're not just drying off, they're also trying to reclaim their doggy essence. So, next time your freshly bathed pup is on a mission to roll on everything, just know they're getting back to their roots, one Zoomie at a time. Scooting across the floor. Seeing your dog dragging their butt across the floor might look funny, but it's actually a sign that something needs your attention. This behavior often points to issues with their anal glands. When these glands become irritated or inflamed, it can cause discomfort, and scooting is your dog's way of trying to find relief. But that's not the only possible cause. Other culprits might include general irritation, allergies, parasites, or even abnormal cell growth. If your pup is frequently scooting, nibbling, or licking their rear, or if you notice a strong odor, it's time to call the vet. Addressing these issues early can make a world of difference in your dog's comfort and happiness. And now, on to another interesting behavior. Following you around the house. Does your dog follow you from room to room like your furry little shadow? This behavior is rooted in their pack mentality. Like their wolf ancestors, dogs are highly social animals who stick with their pack, which, in this case, is you and your family. They follow you around because it's part of their instinct to stay connected and do things together. Plus, if they associate you with love, attention, or food, it's no wonder they want to be near you all the time. But it's not just instinct at play here. Dogs thrive on social interaction, and they genuinely enjoy your company as much as you enjoy theirs. In some cases, especially if they've been with you since puppyhood, they might even see you as a parental figure. So, the next time your dog trails behind you, remember, it's their way of showing loyalty, seeking security, and craving your love. It's an adorable mix of instinct, learned behavior, and a need for connection. And speaking of curious behaviors, the next one might just leave you scratching your head. Putting their paw on you. When your dog puts their paw on you, they're trying to communicate something, and it's not just about looking cute, though they're really good at that. Most often, they do this to ask for something: attention, affection, or maybe even a snack. This behavior is often reinforced by us. Even if you say no or try to ignore it, the mere fact that you're responding gives them exactly what they want: your attention. But here's the heartwarming part. Dogs are incredibly in tune with our emotions. They can read our facial expressions and even smell changes in our pheromones when we're happy, stressed, or sad. So when your dog places their paw on you, it's not just about their needs. It's also their way of showing empathy and love. It's like them saying, "Hey, I'm here for you no matter what." And now, let's move on to a behavior that might not be as adorable, especially for your neighbors. Barking when you leave. When your dog starts barking uncontrollably as you head out the door, it's more than just them saying, "Don't go." This behavior often stems from something deeper: separation anxiety. They worry you might not come back, and that fear triggers their barking spree. To help ease this, shower your dog with love before you leave and when you return, but more importantly, work on building their confidence. Show them you'll always come back no matter what. Excessive barking can also stem from boredom, frustration, or even fear. If your dog is a non-stop barker when you're away, it's time to implement strategies that make them feel more secure during your absence. Consider interactive toys, calming aids, or even professional training if the barking becomes a bigger issue. Not only will this improve your dog's emotional well-being, but it'll also earn you some major brownie points with your neighbors. Found this video helpful? Join our learning squad by subscribing and giving us a thumbs up. It supports our channel and keeps you updated with all our latest educational videos. The belly rub leg kick. When you're scratching your dog's belly and they start kicking their leg like they're riding an invisible bike, you're witnessing something called the scratch reflex. This reflex is actually a defense mechanism dogs have developed to protect themselves from irritants like bugs or debris. When you hit that sweet spot on their belly or side, you're stimulating nerve pathways connected to their spinal cord, which triggers that involuntary leg movement. Even though it's a reflex, it's also a good sign that your dog feels safe and relaxed around you. When they roll over and expose their belly, it's their way of saying, "I trust you completely." And now, on to the next fascinating behavior that might leave you scratching your head: licking their private areas. When your dog licks their private areas, it's not them being weird, it's just normal hygiene. While it might seem gross to us, for dogs, it's a practical way to keep themselves clean, especially after going to the bathroom. Dogs don't have the luxury of showers or tissues, so they rely on their tongues to stay fresh. Plus, they're not exactly concerned about modesty, so they'll do this in front of anyone without a second thought. That said, if you notice your dog licking excessively, it could signal a health issue like an infection or irritation that needs a vet's attention. If the timing is awkward, say during a family gathering, you can redirect their attention with toys or treats. Just don't scold them for it. To your pup, this is perfectly normal self-care. Barking at their reflection. Have you caught your dog barking at their reflection in a mirror? It's not because they're vain, it's actually a pretty fascinating reaction. When dogs, especially puppies or first-timers, see themselves in a mirror, they often think they're looking at another dog. Research from Barnard College in 2017 found that dogs primarily identify themselves and others through scent rather than sight. At first, your dog might circle the mirror, bark, or even try to attack the other dog. But once they realize the reflection has no smell, they usually lose interest. This process is called habituation. It's how they learn and remember that the reflection isn't a threat. Interestingly, if your dog goes a long time without seeing a mirror, they might react all over again when reintroduced. This is known as spontaneous recovery, but rest assured, they'll eventually ignore the reflection once more. Let's move on to a behavior that's a little wet. Licking your face. If your dog loves to lick your face, you might think it's just them being affectionate, but there's more to it than that. Interestingly, dogs don't usually lick each other's faces. It's something special they reserve for humans. Why? It's rooted in their puppyhood. In the wild, young pups lick their mother's face as a greeting and, in return, she regurgitates food for them to eat. Yep, it's a bit gross, but it's how wolf, fox, and coyote pups survive after a hunt. When your dog licks your face, they're not expecting you to cough up lunch, but they do see you as a caregiver. It's their way of saying, I trust you to take care of me. There's also a practical side to it. Dogs have an incredible sense of taste and smell, so licking your face helps them gather information about what you've been eating and possibly judge your snack choices. This behavior is an instinct passed down from their ancestors, blending survival with affection. So, the next time your dog gives you a face lick, know it's part love, part curiosity, and all instinct. Stretching when they see you. Ever noticed your dog stretching right when you come home or grab their leash? That's not just any old stretch. Sure, like us, dogs stretch to warm up their muscles, but when you're the trigger, there's more to it. In those moments, your pup is mentally and emotionally gearing up for the fun that's about to happen. That stretch, it's like their way of saying, I'm ready, let's go. It's a clear signal of excitement and anticipation for the joy and activity they know is coming with you. Now, let's move on to another behavior you're probably all too familiar with. Running around like crazy. Has your dog ever gone completely bonkers, zooming around the house like their tail is on fire? This phenomenon is affectionately called the Zoomies, or Frenetic Random Activity Period, FRAPS, and it's totally normal. According to the American Kennel Club, dogs of all ages, from hyper puppies to senior pooches, can get the Zoomies. Why? Well, the reasons vary. Sometimes it's their best way of releasing pent-up tension or stress, like after a bath. Freedom at last. Other times, it's a wild celebration post-poop or a quirky reaction to something sticking to their fur. And, of course, it can simply be an outburst of pure joy, like when they see someone special. Zoomies are an adorable, energy-filled explosion of happiness and excitement, and honestly, it's the perfect chance for you to join in and enjoy their playful antics. Now, onto a behavior that's a little less fun, but worth understanding. Eating poop. Seeing your dog eat poop? Yeah, it's gross. But don't panic, it's actually more common than you might think. This behavior, known as coprophagia, is uncomfortable for us to witness, but it often has a logical explanation. For puppies, it can be learned from their mom, who instinctively cleans the area by eating waste to keep things tidy. Puppies may mimic this behavior as they grow. For adult dogs, though, it's a bit different. It could be a way to keep their space clean, especially if they're left alone for too long. Or it could signal something else, a cry for attention, fear of punishment, stress, or boredom. The key is understanding why your dog is doing it and finding the right solution, preferably with your vet's help. And here's a tip. Never punish your dog for this behavior. It's often tied to a deeper issue or a learned response. Okay, enough of the gross stuff. Let's move on to something a bit more fun. Bringing you gifts. When your dog brings you a gift, whether it's their favorite toy, a shoe, or even a dirty sock, they're trying to tell you something special. They love and trust you. Dogs can be pretty possessive about their belongings, so if they're willing to share something with you, that's a big deal. It's their way of saying, you're important to me. This gesture could mean a few things. Maybe they're inviting you to play, seeking your attention, or simply showing off their prized possession with pride. So, whether it's a squeaky toy or, yes, your missing bra, remember, it's all out of love. They see you as a key member of their pack, and that's their way of showing it. Sighing. Have you ever heard your dog let out a big sigh? Mine does it all the time, and I've always found it oddly fascinating. A sigh from your dog can mean one of two very different things. On one hand, it's often a sigh of pure satisfaction and contentment. It usually happens after a fun play session or a satisfying meal. It's your dog's way of saying, life is good. But on the flip side, a sigh can also be a sign of mild disappointment. If your dog's been begging for table scraps and didn't get any, that dramatic sigh could mean, well, I give up. So, whether it's a happy sigh or a little grumble of defeat, those subtle sounds are a great insight into your dog's emotions. Now, here's a behavior that never fails to make me laugh. Sleeping on their back. Ever caught your dog sprawled out on their back looking absolutely ridiculous? It's funny, but there's a practical reason behind this goofy pose. This position is a clever way for dogs to regulate their body temperature. Dogs, especially those with thick fur, are great at retaining heat but not so great at cooling off. Since they don't sweat much and panting doesn't work when they're in deep sleep, they flip onto their backs. Why? The underside of their body has thinner fur, or none at all, making it easier for them to release excess heat. On hot days, you might notice them seeking out cool tiles or breezy spots to lie down in this position, maximizing airflow to their warmest areas. And for puppies, this pose might just be accidental. After an intense play session, they're likely to flop down and fall asleep wherever they land. Ready for the next quirky canine behavior? Let's dive in. Waiting outside the bathroom. Have you ever noticed your dog hanging out or even dozing off right outside the bathroom while you're inside? Don't worry, this doesn't necessarily mean they're anxious. This is actually an expression of their pack instinct. Dogs are naturally social animals that thrive in groups, much like their wild ancestors. By waiting for you outside the bathroom, your dog is simply sticking close to their pack. Unless you see signs of anxiety like panting or scratching at the door, this behavior is just their way of saying, "I'm here for you, always." It's their sweet way of reminding you that you're an important part of their world. Excessive paw licking. Dogs licking their paws isn't unusual, it's part of their grooming routine. But when the licking becomes excessive or they fixate on one paw, it's time to investigate. This could point to anything from a minor issue, like a small cut or blister, to more serious problems such as allergies or a parasitic infection. Take a close look at your dog's paws. Once, my dog was obsessively licking one paw, and when I checked, I found a deep wound between their toes. If there's no visible issue, it could also be something like dermatitis, often caused by allergies to chemicals, food, or environmental irritants. Excessive licking can also indicate boredom or anxiety. Make sure your dog gets plenty of exercise and has stimulating toys to keep them busy. If the problem persists, don't hesitate to consult your vet for a proper diagnosis and treatment. Winking. If your dog gives you a wink, don't assume they're sharing a secret or being cheeky. Most likely, it's an involuntary muscle spasm called a canine blepharospasm, or their eye might be irritated by dust or debris. If you notice your dog rubbing their eye on surfaces or pawing at their face, it's a clear sign that something's bothering them. In this case, it's best to visit the vet. Eye health is important for your furry friend, so don't let it slide. Now, let's dive into a behavior that's a bit more persistent. Bumping you with their nose. If your dog nudges you with their nose, they're definitely trying to tell you something. It's just up to you to figure out what. It could be as simple as, "Hey, let's play," or "I'm hungry," or even "Time for our walk, don't you think?" Here's something interesting. Did you know this is a learned behavior? That's right, your dog figured out that booping you with their nose gets them what they want, whether it's food, pets, or playtime. And each time you respond to those cold, wet nudges, you're reinforcing the habit. If you want to curb this behavior, the key is not to respond immediately. With a little patience, your dog will learn there are other ways to communicate that don't involve a chilly surprise on your skin. But here's the catch. Don't just ignore them entirely. Make sure their basic needs, food, exercise, and affection are all met. Taking food to another spot. Have you ever given your dog a treat or some food, only to watch them carry it to a completely different spot? This behavior is instinctive and harks back to their wild ancestors. When your dog picks a specific place to enjoy their snack, they're channeling a pack mentality. They might choose a cozy rug or their favorite corner because it feels more comfortable or secure. By carrying their food away, your dog is essentially saying, "This is mine, and this is my dining spot." It's a mix of instinct and finding a calmer spot. On the flip side, if your dog brings their food to where you are, they're not just being cute, they're looking for your company and want to share that moment with you. In this case, it's a sign of complete trust and affection. Now, let's explore another adorable behavior, sleeping with their tongue sticking out. Seeing your dog snoozing with their tongue sticking out is undeniably cute and completely normal. There are several reasons for this quirky habit. First and foremost, it's a sign of ultimate relaxation. That little tongue peeking out says, "I'm so comfy right now." You'll often notice this after your dog has had a big walk or a fun day, leaving them happily exhausted. This is also tied to thermoregulation. By letting their tongue hang out, your dog cools down even while they're dreaming. The evaporation of saliva helps them stay comfortable and refreshed. Genetics also play a role, especially in flat-faced breeds like pugs or bulldogs. For these dogs, a larger tongue and a smaller mouth or missing teeth can make that tongue pop out more often. So, the next time you catch your dog sleeping with their tongue sticking out, just enjoy the view. It's a sign of a happy and content pup. Now, let's dive into a behavior that can test anyone's patience: destructive behavior. When your dog decides to turn your home into their personal demolition site, it's likely a sign of boredom, anxiety, or stress. Your furry friend isn't auditioning for an HGTV renovation show, they're trying to tell you something. Puppies often chew to relieve teething pain or simply because they're exploring the world. But if your grown dog is still wreaking havoc, they might be dealing with separation anxiety or just lacking enough mental and physical stimulation. The fix? Make sure your dog gets plenty of exercise and has the right chew toys to keep them busy. Bonus points if those toys are super durable. Your couch will thank you. Marking territory with pee. When your dog stops at every lamppost during a walk, they're not just emptying their bladder, they're leaving their mark, staking their claim, and sharing their doggy resume with every curious sniffer in the neighborhood. Marking territory isn't just about ownership, it's a sophisticated form of canine social networking. And guess what? The height of the mark isn't random. Dogs often prefer vertical surfaces to spread their scent further and make it last longer. The best part? Small dogs will aim as high as possible, creating the illusion that they're bigger than they really are. Yep, your pint-sized pup is out here flexing on the block. Let's dive into another behavior that's sure to leave you scratching your head: eating rocks. Watching your dog munch on rocks can be downright baffling and a little scary. Not only is it a strange habit, but it's also dangerous. Here's what might be going on. This behavior could point to a condition called PAIKA, where dogs eat non-food items, sometimes due to nutritional deficiencies. But wait, before you panic, it could also be a sign of boredom or plain old curiosity. Like toddlers, puppies explore the world with their mouths, and rocks might seem like a fun new toy. Sometimes, the smell or leftover food particles on the stones can make them even more tempting. To curb this risky habit, make sure your dog has plenty of mental and physical stimulation to redirect their attention from rocks to safer alternatives. And if your dog does swallow a stone, don't shrug it off. Schedule a vet visit ASAP. Better safe than sorry. Growling with joy. Contrary to popular belief, not every growl from a dog is a warning sign or a display of aggression. Sometimes it's just their way of saying, "This is the life." Think of it as the canine equivalent of a cat's purr. If your pup growls during a game or while you're giving them those magical ear scratches, it's their way of saying, "Keep it coming, this is amazing." This happy growl, often accompanied by a contented look and a wagging tail, is like their internal engine revving at maximum happiness. And now, let's tackle a behavior that's often misunderstood: yawning. Sure, dogs yawn when they're tired or just waking up, but did you know there's much more to this seemingly simple act? According to a study from Kyoto University, your dog is more likely to yawn after seeing you yawn than after seeing a stranger do it. Talk about emotional connection. But wait, there's more. A dog's yawn can actually be a sign of their emotions. Research from the University of Pisa shows that yawning can indicate stress. In fact, Turid Rugas, a renowned canine behavior expert, identified yawning as one of the calming signals dogs use to diffuse tension. Next time your pup is feeling a bit anxious, like during a vet visit or when they're overwhelmed, watch closely. You'll probably catch a yawn or two as they try to calm themselves down. Oh, and here's a fun fact. Yawning also helps dogs shift states, like moving from relaxed to alert, as it increases oxygen flow to their brains. So, the next time you see your dog yawn, remember, it's not always about being sleepy. And now, let's dive into a behavior that might have left you scratching your head, or maybe your leg. Mounting your leg. Let's clear up a common misconception. When your dog mounts your leg, it's rarely about dominance. Forget this myth. It's usually about something else entirely. Mounting can stem from stress, excitement, or even hormonal changes in unneutered dogs. Sometimes it's their way of burning off excess energy or dealing with overstimulation. The outdated idea that dogs mount to establish dominance has been debunked and, unfortunately, led to harsh training methods. In reality, mounting is often a reaction to nervousness or excitement, not a power play. To address this behavior, you'll need to identify its root cause. If it's medical, your vet can guide you on the best treatment. If it's due to boredom or pent-up energy, adding more exercise and mental stimulation to your dog's routine can help. And here's an important tip. Don't laugh, reward, or punish your dog physically for mounting. It'll only confuse them or worsen the issue. Instead, focus on redirecting their energy and keeping them engaged. Understanding your pup's needs is the key to managing their behavior so you can both enjoy a harmonious, leg-free life. Burying bones and favorite toys. Does your dog ever stash away their prized bones or favorite toys? It's more common than you might think, and the reason behind it is pretty fascinating. Back in the day, your dog's wild ancestors, yes, we're looking at you, wolves, used to bury extra food to save it for tougher times when resources were scarce. Fast forward to today, and while your pup doesn't need to hoard their kibble for survival, that instinct still lingers. But here's the twist. This behavior isn't limited to food. Dogs will often bury items they consider valuable, like their favorite toys. And if your dog came from a larger litter where they had to compete for resources, this tendency might be even stronger. Certain breeds, like terriers or dachshunds, originally bred to dig, are also more likely to engage in this habit. It's in their DNA. And now, let's dig into another behavior that holds more meaning than meets the eye. Shaking off. The most classic time you'll see a dog shake off is when they're wet, but let me tell you, there's a whole lot of science behind this simple motion. When a dog's fur gets soaked, their body can lose heat quickly. To counter this, dogs have mastered the art of shaking. According to a study published in the Journal of the Royal Society Interface, dogs can remove up to 70% of the water from their fur in just 4 seconds. That's efficiency. How do they do it? It's all thanks to their loose skin, which amplifies the shake's effectiveness. This incredible technique helps them stay warm by preventing dangerous drops in body temperature. Honestly, it's better than any towel or hairdryer. But wait, there's more. Dogs don't just shake to dry off, they'll also shake to rid their fur of dust, dirt, or even stress. Ever noticed your pup shake after a play session or a good cuddle? That's them releasing excess adrenaline or resetting themselves. As you can see, shaking isn't just about drying off. It's a multi-purpose move that keeps them healthy and stress-free. Now, let's chase down another classic canine behavior. Chasing cats. The age-old dynamic. Dogs chasing cats. While it might seem like harmless mischief, this behavior is deeply rooted in your dog's hunting instincts. Dogs, particularly breeds with a history of herding or hunting, have a natural drive to chase. It's not personal. Your dog doesn't have a vendetta against cats. Anything small and quick, whether it's a squirrel, a ball, or, yes, a cat, can trigger their prey drive. Sometimes, though, it's not about the hunt at all. Your dog might just be looking to play. However, cats don't always interpret it that way. If you're lucky enough to have both a dog and a cat at home, it's essential to teach your dog to respect the cat's boundaries. This will help ensure a peaceful coexistence between the two. And now, let's tackle a behavior that might test your patience just a little. Searching for the perfect bathroom spot. When your dog takes their sweet time finding the perfect spot to do their business, they're not just being picky. They're trying to communicate on a level that would put any social media platform to shame. For dogs, scents are their version of social networking. When they do their business, they leave behind a calling card via scent glands located inside their rectum. This isn't just waste. It's a detailed profile about who they are, what they've eaten, and even their romantic availability. Yes, that's right. So, the location isn't just a spot, it's the spot. It's where they tell their story to other dogs. But wait, there's more. Some dogs are extra particular because they experience a bit of anxiety if the perfect place doesn't quite feel right. It's like humans who avoid public restrooms. They'd rather wait for a more private, comfortable option. For dogs, that might mean a soft patch of grass or a secluded area. If your dog seems extra picky, consider adjusting walk times to quieter hours or finding locations that match their preferences. A little effort here can make them feel more secure and relaxed. And this next behavior, yeah, it can definitely test your patience a bit. Stealing your shoes or clothes. If your dog has ever swiped your favorite sneakers or a cozy sweatshirt, don't get too mad. They're doing it out of love. Dogs often nab things that smell like you because they feel comforted by your scent. It's their way of holding onto a piece of you when you're not around. Think of it like a toddler holding onto their favorite blanket. It's pure affection. So, next time your pup trots off with your slipper, remember, it's their way of saying, I love you and I miss you. Just maybe keep your closet door closed if you're particularly attached to your belongings. Digging holes. We've already talked about why dogs bury toys and bones, but what about when they dig random holes with no apparent purpose? Digging is deeply ingrained in a dog's nature, and there are a lot of reasons why they do it. Maybe they smell critters or insects underground and can't resist investigating. Or maybe they're just trying to find a cooler spot to rest on a hot day. Digging down into the earth can offer some natural air conditioning. But here's another possibility. Dogs dig when they're bored or anxious. It's their way of staying busy and managing their stress. While it can be incredibly frustrating to find your yard looking like a construction zone, remember that your dog is expressing a natural behavior. The key is figuring out the why. Are they bored? Hot? On the hunt? Once you understand the motivation, you can redirect their energy with toys, exercise, or creating a designated digging zone. This way, both your garden and your pup's instincts stay intact. Scratching their bed before sleeping. This quirky habit goes way back to their wild ancestors who had to prep a safe and comfy spot to rest. Scratching and circling wasn't just about fluffing up the ground, it was about marking their territory with scent and ensuring the area was free of unwelcome guests like insects or rodents. But wait, there's more. This instinctual scratching also helped regulate temperature. By digging into the ground, they could reach cooler layers in the summer or create a cozy nest in the winter. Even though your dog doesn't need to worry about these things inside your home, this behavior is like a reflex, something they do without even thinking about it. And speaking of sleeping, wanting to sleep with you. If your dog insists on snuggling up in bed with you every night, it's not just because your mattress is top tier. Dogs are social animals at heart, and they love sticking close to their pack. For them, you're their inner circle, and being by your side offers comfort and a sense of security. But it's not just about companionship, it's also about protection. Dogs consider nighttime to be a vulnerable period, so staying close to you allows them to keep watch and guard their favorite human. And let's not forget warmth. Smaller breeds or dogs with short coats might just be seeking a cozy spot to stay toasty. Now, let's move on to a classic dog expression, pulling their ears back. A dog's ears are like an emotional radar, revealing everything from joy to fear. If your pup's ears are tilted back but not pinned to their head, it's often a sign that they're feeling relaxed and happy. You'll likely notice a loose body posture, a gently wagging tail, and a soft expression to match. However, if their ears are flat against their head and paired with behaviors like avoiding eye contact, growling, or a tucked tail, it might signal fear or nervousness. Interestingly, ears pulled back can also mean they're tuning into sounds coming from behind them. Dogs are masters at multitasking, even when it comes to listening. The trick is to read their full body language to understand what they're feeling. Once you decode these signals, you'll be better equipped to respond to their emotions. Now, let's dive into another behavior that reveals even more about your furry friend: wagging their tail. When your dog wags their tail, it's not just about showing happiness. This behavior, refined over thousands of years, is a complex form of communication that conveys much more than simple joy. Nicholas Dodman, a canine behavior expert, explains that tail wagging can signal friendly submission, like saying, "I'm happy to see you and I'm no threat." But there's nuance. The tail's position and movement can also indicate dominance, submission, or even fear. For instance, a tail held high might mean confidence or dominance, while a low tail could signal submission or unease. As humans, we often think a wagging tail equals a happy dog, but understanding the subtleties can help us better interpret their emotions and intentions. Jumping on people to say hello. When your dog leaps up to greet you, they're not trying to be annoying, they're just trying to say hello face to face. Dogs naturally seek eye-level contact, much like they would with other dogs, but since we humans are a bit taller, jumping is their way of bridging the gap. This behavior can also indicate overexcitement or even nervous energy, with the jumping serving as an outlet for all that pent-up tension. And here's the shocker: if your dog jumps and gets your attention, they learn that this action works, reinforcing the habit. While it's a heartfelt gesture from your pup, it can be awkward or even dangerous for some people. Teaching your dog calmer ways to greet others is key, especially to prevent them from intimidating or accidentally hurting guests with their enthusiasm. Okay, let's move on to another totally quirky behavior: sticking together after mating. If you've ever seen two dogs get stuck together after mating, it might look odd or even alarming, but it's a completely normal part of canine reproduction. During mating, a part of the male's reproductive organ, called the bulbous glandus, swells, making it impossible for the dogs to separate immediately. This process, known as the tie, can last anywhere from 5 to 45 minutes. Here's the important part: stay calm and don't intervene. Dogs, especially inexperienced ones, might feel anxious during this time, but interfering can cause them stress or even injury. Once the swelling subsides, they'll naturally separate on their own. It's just another one of those fascinating and slightly awkward doggy behaviors. Well, there you have it. 60 strange dog behaviors explained. Now, you're basically a certified dog whisperer. But don't stop here. If you thought this was fascinating, you're going to love the next video. It's all about the 50 things that make dogs happy. Yup, we're diving into the ultimate guide to wagging tails and doggy grins. Click on the video that's popping up on your screen, and let's keep unlocking the secrets to making your furry friend's life the happiest it can be. Go on, give it a click. Your dog will thank you.